slow songs. Now I'm ducking fake love in a world I don't belong. She poured out her lies like whiskey in my cup, and every I love you was just a setting me up. Now I'm riding with the devil and my demons in the back, praying country boys like me don't ever fold a crack. Yeah. Dirt on my boots and blood on my name. A smile on my face, but they throwing the blame. Got snakes in the grass, gotta mow them again. I came from the bottom, don't ask where I've been. My brother got locked, now my heart been froze. Keeping this pain in the styrofoam dose. Mama said, son, don't forget where you from, but I'm running from a past that won't ever be done. I was raised on back roads, heartbreaking slow songs. Now I'm ducking fake love in a world I don't belong. She poured out lies like whiskey in my cup, and every I love you was just a setting me up. Now I'm riding with the devil and my demons in the back, praying country boys like me don't ever fold a crack. Yeah. Tattoos cover pain I don't speak on. Had to lose it all just to get my feet on. She left me on red when I needed the most. Now she scrolling my page like she seeing the ghost. Chrome on the dash and the pass in the mirror. I ain't letting up, vision never been clearer. Got a 4-5 tucked in my flannel shirt. And I don't trust love, only know it hurts. I gave her the keys to my heart and my truck. She gave them away like it wasn't enough. Now I'm just a ghost in a small town song, trying to make it right what's been wrong for too long. I was raised on back roads, heartbreaking slow songs. Now I'm ducking fake love in a world I don't belong. She poured out her lies like whiskey in my cup, and every I love you was just a setting me up. Now I'm riding with the devil and my demons in the back, praying country boys like me don't ever fold a crack. Mama said I was born for the storm. Tatted up pain and a heart that's torn. Dirt road dreams in the backseat pass with a pistol in the glove box moving too fast. Smoke in my lungs and regrets in the mirror. Voices in my head but the Lord ain't near. I'm a lost soul riding where the angels don't go, on a back road path with a trunk full of gold. I've been riding with the devil, hands tied on the wheel, feeling like a rebel with a scar that won't heal. Whiskey in my blood and the past won't let go. If I crash tonight, at least I went full throttle. Yeah, I'm riding. Six strings, wearing boots and sin. Every ball play in, I lose, I win. Got a Bible verse sync that I still don't read, but I pray through the speakers when I bleed on these beats. I ain't asking for a savior, just a little bit of peace, but this outlaw life got a grip on me. I'm a prayer in the dark, I'm a hymn gone wrong. I'm a sinner in the booth, laying truth in a song.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, yeah.
Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding a voice in control.
What is going on, Hive? I hope everybody's having a great day. We got the audio coming in loud and clear. Thank you for tuning in. It's time to sit back, relax, grab your tinfoil hats for tonight, which I need to load up that song. I haven't played that song in quite some time, but we're going to need it for this evening. And it will not disappoint. I promise you. I'm just hoping that I can explain it clear enough. So it's like that saying in, what's that war movie where the dude doesn't carry a gun? He's like, Lord, make me fast and accurate. That's how I feel like I need my brain to be this evening. And I know I can always fall back on you guys, but nonetheless, my brain is absolutely melting after Discord Dawn had sent me one of Sherlock's recent videos. And I feel compelled to talk about this tonight. So This one will not disappoint. Also, there's a damn fly in my room. I had my windows open earlier, and now it feels like the episode of Breaking Bad where they're cooking and there's a fly, and it's the entire episode of them just chasing the fly. So this stream could also possibly turn into that, depending on how annoying and frustrating that fly gets. So hopefully it doesn't land on my face or on the camera. But I want to say what's up to everybody. UFO Dog, what up, what up? Lisa Stewart, Carmelia, Secret Soul Survivor, Discord Dawn, what's Gucci? Wolf Pack, Donna Speaks Truth, Marianne, Lydia Unhinged, Gilly, Sarah Amateur Sleuth, Carol H, Constance B, Shelly Klein, Jody, Squirrel Nest, Ricky Thetford II, Jen, Cynthia, Grammy T, what's going on, LA Mike, Brandon Reuter, Luna, how are you doing? Molly Bledsoe, Growth Renewal, Outdoorsy Life, Hurdy Gurdy, Robin, what's up? CQ says hit the like button, y'all. I agree. If you don't, UFO Dog will cry. Or HBO Dog, according to David Loach. UFO Dog broke his heart. What's up, Moto Man? Good to see you, brother. Jen says hi from the communist state of Maryland. Is Maryland a communist state? I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say that. Well, it is now. It is now. Philly Special, how are you doing? What's up, Sassafras? True to it says smashed it. Bambi says what's up to Discord Dawn. Vicky Young's tuning in from Kentucky. Where's everybody else tuning in from? While people are starting to still file in. Let's see how far and wide the hive stretches. We just had Kentucky. What's up, Beck? Jojo. You got Mississippi. One says, what's up to the mods? What's up, Lori? UFO Dogs in my basement. Charlotte, North Carolina. Greensville, South Carolina. Minnesota, New Jersey, Georgia, California, or Canada. Hey. Canada, eh? Canada. Utah, Ohio, Pennsylvania. The swamp of Louisiana. North Carolina, Ohio, Canada, Canada, Texas. Yeehaw. Minnesota. Washington, Rocky Mountain Hive. Tuning in from Oregon. Boomer Sooner. Michigan. Texas. Hurdy Gurdy says Alabama, War Damn Eagle. You're right. You're right about that. Montana says, what's up? Well, what up, Lola? Michigan. Tuning in from Boise. Brisbane, Australia. It's one of my favorite ones to say. Melbourne, Australia. Halloween Town, Texas. Rochester, New York this week for Scout. Rhode Island, Arizona, Indiana, Pittsburgh, Florida, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Tennessee, England. Love the UK Hive. North Carolina, Seattle. How many people we got tuning in from overseas? So we're obviously based here in the States. I saw some Australia, saw some UK. Any of the Scots in here this evening? Any of the Irish folks? Let's see. Breby is Australia. Canada. Yeah, we got some Canadians in here. Cacosto? Costco. That's funny. We got Scotland, Aussie, Wisconsin Dells, Scotland. There's that damn fly. If you guys saw that. England. All right, I got to get this thing. Got his ass. Usually I don't like killing anything. I'm going to be honest. Usually I'll like scoop them up and throw him outside, but that one, he had to go. Bird attack. South Africa. Got his ass with a Zin container. That's a first. Yes, I survived. Yes. Lord, make me fast and accurate. Oh, that's funny. Well, let me get this up onto the screen. And Sherlock, I just had his comment up on here. You guys know Sherlock's no stranger to the Hive. I'm a big fan of Sherlock's work. He's been on the roundtable. He's been a guest on the stream. And I'm not even joking when I say that my brain started to melt. So I was only able to watch half of this, and then I had to finish it when I was at the gym. And if you have not seen Sherlock's most recent video, I have a clip of it, and I will guarantee you that after watching this clip, you are going to finish this stream and go watch that. It's about an hour long. It is packed to the gills with, I guess, what I would like to call, what's that word? Why can't I think of that word? It's a C word. It has to do with people that lie, people that put out false information. Somebody help me out. What is that called? It's like, what is that called? Corruption? Yeah. It's packed to the gills with corruption and conspiracy and just a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, that's contradictions. Yeah, it's fraud. And Sherlock exposes it. Here's the other thing that I'll give a little disclaimer for. Okay, I'll give two disclaimers. One, if this is your first time in the Hive, welcome to the Hive Mind. I'm your host, Birdie. I go live every weeknight at 7 p.m. Central. This is a contrarian thinking live stream. So what does that mean? Well, that means if you're easily rattled or offended on behalf of others when a group of individuals gets together in the chat and discusses things past the headlines, meaning there most likely is something more to the story. If that pisses you off, this is not going to be the stream for you. The only rules we have for the chat are you don't troll, you don't spam, you don't make any threats. Other than that, the mods are going to give you enough leash to hang yourself. And the other disclaimer that I'm going to give is if that sounds like you, well, then you have found your people and welcome to the Hive. Mitty Witty says, bye. Is there anybody who's first time tuning in? Type a 1 if this is your first time tuning in. And while we're waiting for that, going back to what I was going to say about Sherlock's video is if Sherlock has somehow just been able to piece all of this together and it's wrong, well, then I have no idea how, obviously I don't know how the universe works, but there's something weird going on and glitched out. As we know, Idaho's a portal to hell. I say that on the regular basis, but there's some sort of time warp and some sort of dimension switching going on if that all lines up. So I guess I'll leave it at that. And Sherlock says, totally free to disagree with any of my content. Disagreements are part of critical thinking. We don't thought police here. Amen to that. I think you actually disagreed with me in the video that I'm showing. So, I'm not out here MFing him. I think it's good. I think it's good to have those conversations. I don't know if did I see any ones? Were there any? If I did, I missed them. I apologize. You guys should see how many windows I have to have open on my side of the screen here. It's pretty remarkable. So I only got a little window for the chat that I can see. Anna says, I've lived in Idaho for over 20 years, and I 1,000% agree. Idaho is a portal to hell. First top dog of the night. And damn it, I still can't figure out how to get that to face the right way in the camera. So that's funny. Grammy T says the first Twilight was filmed here, and also Bella's dad's house is an Airbnb, and half of the movie was filmed here. Of course, come stay with me. It's a lot easier to travel with the. Yeah, that's a no for me, Grammy T. I'll take my chances at the Holiday Inn or the Hilton. What's up, Crown? Good to see you, gang. I don't know if Mrs. Birdie's in the chat. What's up, Phoenix? What's Gucci, my Louie? Sliding Leiden says, you couldn't pay me to go to Idaho. Riding down the rabbit hole. What up? What up? Sarah Amateur Sleuth says, yeah, no thanks. No thanks. Unless you got like those free chocolate chip cookies, Grammy T, that are warm when you walk in, you check in, you get 2 bottles of water and like a Nutri-Grain bar. What kind of service are we talking there? I don't want to know. Oh, man. That's funny. Grammy T, you weren't inviting me. Well, that's all right. That's all right. No feelings are hurt over here. But all right, let me get this added to the, or let me get working on this this stream. You know, right now we got 675 people in here. We got 190 likes. I've been trying to make a point to do this. If everybody could go and press the like button right now, I would really appreciate it. I keep all of my streams free. Never going to charge for a stream. Nothing's going to be behind a paywall. It takes 2 seconds to just swipe down on the chat, press the like button. As the mods say, you leave more touch DNA on that like button than Koberger left on the sheath. But the reason why I say that is because as the streams start and it has more likes, it reaches a wider audience, which that's obviously what we want to do. If you're in this chat, you probably have some questions about the Idaho 4, or you're honestly just here to screen record and then clip it and try to make a point, which is funny. Like, that phases us. Saying the other day, we are battle hardened in here. There is absolutely nothing that will phase anybody in the hive. You can call us whatever name you want, and we will call you names right back because we're done playing nice. We got shit to do here, and we don't have time for your little childish games. I'm going to be a grown adult, and I'm going to go clip this guy's stream called Birdie, and I'm going to try to discredit him as if they know what happened. No, you're just mocking. You're being a parrot to the mainstream media. We should be mocking you for being so dumb and unthought-provoking. Like, wow, the only people that are going to watch that or like that content are people that are probably, you know, they think the same way you do, which is boring. It's boring to think like the mainstream media. So, and let's do this, please. Fitting for the username says, enough of this fluff. Well, let's get to it. Well, hey, take it easy there. Want to make sure that before we get into it, we have time for people to get in. Nonetheless, here we go, Hive. So when I say my brain is melting, here's what I want to talk about. This is the video that Sherlock has done. I have it circled. This is a screenshot of his page. And I will move myself off the camera quick so you can see that's his username if you guys don't follow him. Now, when I got sent this by Dawn, I got to tell you, I always know Sherlock puts out really good stuff, but this one probably takes a cake. Especially knowing Sherlock's style, and just I think he explains things incredibly, and they're funny the way that he does it. I don't know if he's trying to be, but I feel like it's just, this is an epic video. So I have a short clip here, and I screen recorded it from his video because there was a couple clips from the Hive that he used. So I'm gonna play this, and you guys let me know if you can hear it.
That starts right at the exact same timestamp that our expanded crime window starts, 2:52 a.m. and 34 seconds, down to the second. Don't forget this. And I hear people talking aggressively. I mean, it's hard to hear, though. That's the problem. And you can hear it kicking off. But they're over there now. And go, all right, stop here, go back to the other video. You're going to want to look right across the street, right where you put the cursor before, like stage, like, yes. So right at 2:52 a.m. and 34 seconds. Blink, blink. The house responds. Blink, blink.
What the
blink,
hell?
blink.
I'm sorry, I did pause it because I have goosebumps. Wait, I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Well, that's when the people went towards King Road. I mean, it was like a go signal to the second. All of this really just to say that I believe Zaina and Ethan's troubles started as early as 1:50 a.m., which makes sense. Which makes sense, right? That they would call their father, or that Zaina would call her dad close to 2 a.m. And sort of he ends up getting worried and wondering if he should come down there. And she says, no, 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 no. It's okay. We're cool. We're eating pizza. She's trying to diffuse her dad from coming down there by saying, oh, yeah, no, we're just eating pizza now and everything's cool. So hence why there might not be any pizza. She's just trying to diffuse her dad's fuse and desire to want to come help with a problem that started earlier, perhaps as early as 1:30, 1:40, 1:50 a.m. time slots. Okay, now at this time, I'd like to switch gears to talking about the whereabouts and movements of Kaylee and Maddie for the night. Because aforementioned, I don't believe they were home while Ethan and Zaina were killed. So where were they? Well, I don't have all the answers to exactly where they were throughout that entire time period. But one clue that we do have that I found fascinating and that revealed a ton of new Delta timeline booms, if you will, is something that happened a few months ago on Birdie's Live. Take a listen to this.
This always annoyed me why the Twitch stream was 2 hours in advance of the time they said Kaylee and Maddie left the Grub truck. As you can see, the stream is 3:53:27 a.m. as both girls leave the scene. Is Twitch set for another timeline? I have no idea. So I figured what I could do for this is quick pull this up. So it's the viewers' time zone, not the streamers. So I'd be curious if Down the Rabbit Hole to Hell is in a different time zone. Like if you're on the East Coast. So, but while yes, interesting and not purposefully debunking that, that's what I would guess is happening.
Okay, so Birdie goes on there to just explain that he looked it up and that the timestamps on the Twitch chat log are going to be the timestamps that are local to the chatter, not to where the stream's happening, but to the people in chat. Now, upon further review of this, I noticed that there were only a couple timestamps that were different from the 3:50 a.m. block of time. It wasn't just Down the Rabbit Hole to Hell chatter end user who had that timestamp of Kaylee and Maddie leaving the Grub truck at 3:53 a.m. and 27 seconds. It was most of the timestamps of most of the chatters on Twitch that night, with only a few exceptions. So I'm going to go ahead and disagree with Birdie here. And for the purposes of this hypothesis, I'm going to purport that the majority of the timestamps on the Twitch chat are accurate local time, that these are accurate local chatters who are watching a local Twitch live stream. In other words, most of these chatters timestamps are in the 3:50 a.m. block of time because they are local to Moscow, Idaho. And thus, the true time that Kaylee and Maddie visited the Grub truck is not the one, and left the Grub truck, is not the 1:50 a.m. block of time, but is the 3:50 a.m. block of time, with them leaving at 3:52 a.m. and 27 seconds. And that is going to be that timestamp. Remember, it's going to be extremely important in a second here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and play some Grub truck footage with the timestamp of the Twitch chat room overlaid over it, so you get a better sense of what I'm talking about.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Active. That's
Okay, so I'm going to do my best to try and explain what Sherlock was saying. Now, again, this is one of those things where you could say, all right, well, Were the bars closed? Were they not? Knowing college towns, they're open super late. I don't know if the size of the school matters in that, but I can tell you where I went to school, we had places that were open till 3, 4, a little bit later. I know people are confused. Sherlock, if you're in the chat, I did offer to send you a link if you'd like to join and just pop up for your voice. If not, I can go ahead and I can try to explain it. But ultimately, what I have here is what Sherlock is going to start to talk about is the real timeline overlaid with the text messages and the phone calls that were released. This sounds crazy until you go and watch all of Sherlock's video and he lines it up with all of the footage. And there's a delta, that same 7-minute, 26-second delta, 1 hour. Is it 7 minutes, 26 seconds? Yes. That same delta continues to pop up all over. Okay. So I'll give a little bit of a background on this. When Sherlock was on stream, he started talking about how he thought that in the dumpster cam footage, you could see people signaling each other. And he showed that. And I just showed that in the clip that I had right there. Well, I had a Hive Mind find where somebody had said, what really bothers me about the Grub truck in the chat on Twitch. So it's just like this, right? If you're not familiar with Twitch, it's a streaming platform where you can chat live time. People can live stream. Oh, hell yeah, Sherlock. Let's go. All right. I'm putting it in the chat right now, Sherlock. And while I'm waiting for Sherlock, I'm going to go grab my water quick. Give me 5 seconds. Oh, yeah. I am stoked for this. I am very, very excited for this, to say the least. And I will play this in honor of Sherlock, although I'm not sure he's asking for it. I feel like we're going to need to play it. So here we go.
Retrieve your nearest tinfoil hat. Place hat firmly on your head.
And whenever he gets backstage, I'll bring him on up. But I'll still give the background. Somebody had sent in a Hive Mind find of a screenshot of that Twitch stream in the chat. And it shows timestamps. Well, all of them were saying 3 in the morning, 3:50 in the morning. Somebody said, it's always bothered me how it says that. Well, I had looked it up and I'm like, well, it says that the chat shows in the viewer's time, which that makes sense. So I stream at 7 p.m. Central, right? For some of you, it's 8 Eastern or it's 6, whatever the other time zones are, right? So what Sherlock did was he said, well, what if that is local? And it starts to kind of make sense, because who outside of who's going to be watching that out on the East Coast? I mean, I don't think it's that popular of a Twitch stream. You know what I mean? I really don't. And again, we're just thinking through this. It lines up. So when Sherlock gets backstage, hopefully that link worked. While I was gone, he didn't say anything in the chat, did he? Hopefully I didn't miss anything. That should be able to work. I should get a mini fridge. And so also just a couple of housekeeping things. Thank you so much, Wolfpack, for the super chat. You rock. Ms. Birdie and I, we're moving. You know, got to get a little bit more room. And it's super exciting. So that'll be coming up here. We got some time, but I'm actually going to be able to kind of redo the studio and actually have a studio, and I'm very excited for that. So if anybody has like tips or tricks on how to set it up from like to make it look, I don't know if there's anything I could do where maybe I have a monitor in the back that you guys can see instead of just doing everything on screen. I'm not sure if there's anybody that does that type of stuff or is really good with audio and sound setup, or if there's a good system to have with lighting and all that. I'm all ears. Okay. Obviously I want this stream, you know, to continue on as long as it can. And I want to invest in it to make sure that it's the best quality for you all. I don't know where Sherlock is. Hopefully it's working, but yeah, thank you, Dean. I appreciate that. It's super exciting. There he is. Sherlock has entered the studio. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add Sherlock to the stage. Sherlock, what's going on, man?
What's up, cuz?
Just want to make sure everybody can hear you all right.
Yeah, sorry about that. It took me a hot minute there. Took a couple tries, but I got it.
You're good, man. What I'm going to do, just so people know that it's you, is I'm going to put your username up here. So, all right, let's give a little bit of a background too, just maybe for people that might not understand. What does it mean to come into the hive and as we say, like, thinking different hits different, and it's okay to disagree. Just don't be a dick, pretty much. I always like to kind of go back to how you and I met, which is actually a hilarious story on TikTok where you thought I was talking shit about you.
Yeah. I think you were being satirical or sarcastic, and I didn't read your sarcasm at first, and we were in violent agreement with each other for a bit there.
I messaged you. I was like, bro, I'm giving you props.
Yeah, I totally misread that.
No,
that was funny.
Now look at us. So, all right, man. So I'll kind of give you the floor here. Great work on the video. And I was kind of explaining, I don't know if you were listening while you were popping up backstage. I was explaining the Hive Mind find that I had where it was a screenshot of the chat that came in, or where they said it's 3:00. It's always bothered them. Is that
That's
what
right,
was your
yeah.
first kind of thing that kind of got you like, huh, that's weird?
Yeah, that was down the rabbit hole to hell. His timestamp was 3:52 a.m. and 23 seconds. I noticed that a number of other timestamps were also the same timestamp, with a few exceptions of different timestamps from people in different time zones. And what I just thought was interesting about it is, like, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that Pacific Standard Time chatter would be an hour behind, not 2 hours. Or sorry, would be an hour ahead, not 2 hours ahead, like we're dealing with. And someone on the East Coast would be a couple hours behind, not ahead, like we're dealing with, right? So
Right.
for me, I was like, I mean, this has to be local time, 3:52 a.m. and 23 seconds. Then again, there's also other possibilities. I mean, I've also considered that it was daylight savings time that night. It was fallback. And so at 1:59 a.m., the clock doesn't tick to 2:00. It ticks back to 1 a.m. So everyone got an extra hour. And while I've been able to confirm that the body cams correctly adjusted for fallback daylight savings, doesn't mean I can confirm that timestamps from every app or any source in particular otherwise would do something like that, right? So I did look up that Twitch does use the end user's device and the settings on it to automatically adjust for daylight savings. But I was thinking that, I don't know. So, like, if the bars close at 2:30 a.m., perhaps, part of me thought that if Kaylee and Maddie left the bars at 2:30 a.m., and they were part of this food rush an hour after the bars are closed, maybe some of the timestamps would read 3:52 a.m. Right?
Yeah, I'm following
So
you.
that was a thought that I had, but at the end of the day, these apps and softwares that we now have really do adjust automatically pretty well for daylight savings. It's not that good an explanation. And I believe the Grub truck stayed open later than the bars. I think they wanted to catch that food rush. And I really just don't trust anyone's word with the Grub truck, just because, in my perspective, the Twitch culture in the Northwest is very much tied into some of the elements that I notice about this crime as well. So, I mean, that's my own personal view on it, but I could totally see them lying about closing early, or, yeah, I don't know. I think the Grub truck was open past the time the bars closed at 2:30 a.m. I really do think they wanted to catch that food rush. I think they even talk about catching the food rush
Yeah,
towards the end
they
of the
do
stream.
mention it. They
Yeah,
do mention it.
yeah.
Dude. So the other thing, and again, that's why I played the tinfoil hat song. Everybody, we're just thinking out loud. We got the freedom to do so, and this is just a discussion.
now.
So yeah, for now,
now.
until Neuralink puts a taser on your nuts every time you think outside the box, they just zap
I know
you.
they're gonna drone strike my house, man.
I hope not. I hope
Straight
not.
up.
But what I notice about when there's the security footage at the corner club, okay, there's video of them. I don't know if you guys have seen on TikTok, like Olivia has posted the footage. I don't know if this is what happened, but I find it odd that the bottom left corner looks like it's blurred out the entire time.
Yeah,
and the
it is blurred out.
Yeah, the timestamp's in the middle right of the screen. And I've thought to myself, that would be like having a timestamp, Hive, like right here. And this would be the one picture, but it's like right here. I'm like, and then this is all blurred right here. So I'm like, okay, that just seems like they put a running clock next to it, which I don't know if they would do that. I think people forget that when you're deciding and you decide to make the bed, okay, we're going to cover this up. You have to cover everything up, and you're not going to be able to do all of it perfectly.
And that's not a typical timestamp format for a UTC retail or establishment security camera system. It's just not. I did extensive research on that topic, specifically when it came to the gas station and how that footage, I don't know if you remember, but the gas station that caught we got that blurry screenshot of a screenshot at that gas station. You remember that at the beginning of the case? Yeah, apparently one of the officers got to that gas station. It was too late, apparently, somehow. And the video had purportedly, they said, been deleted, apparently, right? But in researching some of the annual reports, I found the end user manual of the actual security cam system that gas station uses, and the retention policy is not 10 days. So, this excuse that it was just deleted because of retention policy just didn't fly with me. And, in the course of researching that, I also got pretty familiar with the timestamp format of different retail and service security camera software systems. So, yeah, I noticed the same thing you did about the Corner Club video. I noticed that too. Thought that was very interesting.
Now, okay, when you started going through these timestamps, so again, I've watched this video. If you haven't watched this yet after this discussion, I would highly encourage you guys to go watch it on Sherlock's page. What was one of the most profound things that I thought you showed, Sherlock, was how you actually line this up with what the new deltas would be. Okay. Now,
right.
It's kind of tedious, I'm sure, to type it all out and do the exact math, but
yeah, it is.
But dude, when you start showing the undercover cop car that they said is suspect vehicle 1 going around, slowing down, you could see this clear as day, regardless if people can't wrap their head around it because you've been told something else so many times. I'd encourage you to watch this as if this is your first time hearing about the case and tell me if you can pick it apart. Tell me if you can pick it apart, because when national security is involved, this is true. You could look this up. The public facing documents don't have to give the little details 100% accurately. Okay, that's true. That's just like in WITSEC. And when people are undercover, as I've said 5 times now, Scott Payne, undercover inside the Outlaws, when people would have murder for hire hits, okay, they would, let's say a husband tried to put out a hit to murder his wife, okay, they would go to the wife and they would say, this is your one chance. You have to play ball. We'll take some pictures. We'll make it look real. Because the people putting out the hits, the reason why it's legal to do that, typically they require very specific pictures. This tattoo on their lower back, this blah, 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 right? So that they don't get screwed over. Now, I say all of that because when Sherlock lines up this new Delta, all of the sounds that we've thought were so weird on Linda Lane make a hell of a lot more sense. The 2 timeline theory people have talked about makes a hell of a lot more sense. And Maddie and Kaylee's phones, quote, going dark forever, line up just as well. So Sherlock, I'll pause there and let you kind of take it away with these text messages.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to briefly touch on what you said, that's the GGD, right? They call it the greater good doctrine.
Yep.
Where they're able to, let's just call it what it is. They're able to lie for purposes of national security, and it's really up to them how they define national security. And I think they abuse that privilege a lot. But as it exists now, they do exist above the law in those regards. And you're right. It is, it's legal. I don't know how great it is for public safety, but it's legal. And I know there's also some laws against psyops as well. And I think I read out the actual laws last time I was on your stream. I actually brought that with me.
Yep.
I don't have that with me now, but yeah, look, the new calculations really piqued my interest just because the Delta fabrication, the time Delta fabrication existed at the top of the 4 a.m. hour. And I always found that interesting because, sometimes around 4 a.m. When have we heard that before, right?
Yep.
It's always some ambiguous time around 4 a.m. And when we see the dumpster cam is clicking back on at 4:06 a.m. and 49 seconds, it did make me realize that 7 minutes and 26 seconds prior to that timestamp of it clicking back on gives us the total time range of the missing 7 minutes and 26 seconds. And it starts with the starting timestamp of 3:59 a.m. and 27 seconds, I think. Maybe I got the seconds wrong, but 3:59 a.m. and 23 seconds. That's right. That's what it is. And that really struck me hard because I know that lines up with the Delta perfectly with the top of the 4 a.m. hour, which is what I was already focusing on with the Delta calculations.
Yes.
I was already looking at, right. So the fact that Kaylee and Maddie getting separated from their phones right at 4 a.m., like the fact that the math worked out to the second right at 4 a.m. on the nose, and subtracting our Delta of 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 26 seconds from 4 a.m. gives us this media timestamp of 2:52 a.m. and 34 seconds. Right, that's when they claim they got separated from their phones. So I found that extremely interesting, but it didn't stop there, and that's kind of why I made the video, because that same timestamp so basically that matched 3:59 a.m. and 23 seconds, but it was also when Tisdale was picking up Rosie up on the Walenta cut through.
That was excuse me, jeez. Okay, so whenever we're talking numbers like this, right, it's hard to visualize because it's just a lot of numbers being repetitive.
Yeah,
But
you kind of got to watch the video.
Yeah, you got to watch the video for sure. So then with that, kind of with knowing that, okay, why don't you, just as far as numbers go, can you back up a little bit? Can you say what, just talk mainstream timeline for the crime window to what you believe it is, and then go back to this cut through, because I think that then we don't really have to necessarily talk numbers, and most people that have followed this case can wrap their head around it.
Well, okay, so maybe it might be easier to say it this way. The total Delta is 1 hour, 7 minutes, 26 seconds.
And Delta means what?
Change in time, a measurement between 2 fixed points in time.
Okay.
So when we calculate the time difference between 2 fixed points in times, that's the time difference or time change, delta. And The reason that the reason in my mind why the delta is 1726, like why it is 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 26 seconds, is because something happened in 7 minutes and 26 seconds that they had to cover up. And if you watch my video, I believe it's what happened to Kaylee and Maddie. But also, if you watch the video earlier in the night, I believe Ethan and Zaina were unalived earlier. And that was almost an hour to the dot earlier. And so in my mind, you can think of the total delta as a sum of two parts, 1 hour on one hand and 7 minutes and 26 seconds on the other. 7 minutes and 26 seconds to cover up one event, and then subtracting that extra hour to cover Ethan and Zaina's whereabouts.
Right.
Which lines up with the confusion of the media narrative at the beginning of the case. Everybody was talking about the gap of Ethan and Zaina's whereabouts. And also, by the way, just pretty much 4 a.m., you know, if you subtract the delta from 4 a.m., you get this exact expanded time window that starts at 2:52 a.m.
And it's precisely too, as Maiden Archer says. It is exactly.
Now, I just want to add just one more hair in the soup here, because I just want to, make sure people understand. This is not a claim of absolute certainty or a claim of absolute truth or fact. This is called a hypothesis. And a hypothesis is something in the scientific method or criminal investigation. This is where you would come up with your idea of what you think happened. And the hypothesis stage is where you test it. So my videos are hypothesis testing. They're not saying it's true. I'm putting the idea to the test. A theory is above a hypothesis. When a hypothesis tests well and then is peer reviewed by other people, and they test it and get the same results, or they improve the hypothesis, and enough factual basis undergirds that hypothesis, at that time, you can then graduate it to a theory. So I just want to be clear, this is just a hypothesis, and as compelling as it is to match deltas down to the second times 10 times over, it is very compelling. But do I think there's enough factual basis to graduate it to a theory yet? Not quite, no. Because while I do believe the delta is 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 26 seconds, there's still the disagreement about what role does that time fabrication play? And I'm speculating about what role it plays. So I make these videos testing the hypothesis so that perhaps if I'm wrong, someone smarter than me can see my video and say, no, this is the true role. And maybe we'll solve the case that way, right? It's sort of like a process.
Yes, well said. And I think it's important for people to understand the difference between a hypothesis and a theory. Sometimes in my head, like if you want to really get into the weeds, you're absolutely right. In my mind, I'm like, they're the same thing. But from a scientific kind of language standpoint, you're spot on. And Candace Morin says, but why are we measuring the time difference? Okay. The reason why we're measuring the time difference is because the events that we see happening throughout the security footage and the way that they're saying this happened, we don't feel like it makes sense. So we've been diving into it, and Sherlock, over the course of however long, I don't know really, what was the first thing that made you realize the delta?
Yeah. I should probably go over the origin, right? Because I got that comment a ton in my video. So let me just tell you the origin. It was Pavarotti. What's up? 212 Pavarotti, represent. He is somebody who does what's called simulations, and he takes the data from the FBI reports and he runs simulations with them. He runs actual software simulations to help him better conceptualize the data that he's getting from the actual FBI documents. He existed in that space for so long, he really broke down the granular details of the FBI docs in such a thorough way that he was the first person to say, I think there's some sort of just time discrepancy here of 1 hour and 7 minutes. It keeps coming up. And so...
and he found that
But he
with the
found
police
that, and I found it so fascinating that I wanted to disprove it. So I decided to do some hypothesis testing. That was my first Delta video. It's literally titled "Testing PAV on Taylor Ave," and the Delta math is a little wonky in that first video, and it streamlines and refines much better in the later videos. But yeah, I mean, I initially set out to disprove it. You only need one miscalculated or misaligned delta calculation to disprove the whole thing. So I was confident. I was like, yeah, we could disprove it real easy, probably on the first calculation. But to my surprise,
sorry, I just want to interrupt you.
no,
I'm sorry to do that.
that's okay. Go ahead.
But I was just going to say, wasn't there the police report of when Rosie had gotten off work? It was that this didn't make sense. Police work an 8-hour shift.
That didn't come. That's delta calculation number 5. So that didn't come until my 5th delta calculation. So no, you're right, Birdie, but we didn't even know about that yet at this time. We were just thinking 1 hour, 7 minutes, interesting. And I wanted to either, any good practitioner who's going to be objective knows that a hypothesis is only as good as the practitioner's willingness to destroy their own hypothesis. I mean, that is how the methodology works. That's how the scientific method works. So I set out to disprove poverality and put that idea to the test because it fascinated me. And calculation number 1, it matches. Calculation number 2, it matches. Calculation number 3, it matches. By the third one, I found the 26 seconds, and we didn't have that at first. I couldn't believe it. Things were matching down to the second. On the 4th calculation, the 5th calculation, and then the 6th and then the 5th calculation, you're right, Birdie. It was Rosendahl and Tisdale had claimed in the FBI report that their shift ended at 3:52 a.m. and 47 seconds. And in a normal overtime 8-hour shift, they would have worked another 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 26 seconds. Like, it turns out that the delta was exactly the amount of time they lied about, their shift ending early. It was incredible. Pavarotti found that. So, and we just sort of kept bouncing back and forth with each other. But the 6th delta calculation is the one I find most compelling, because if everything's on the up and up with the Banfield body stop timestamps, then when the body cam shuts off at 3:16 a.m. and the FBI report says, these officers said in the FBI report that they left going that west down Taylor past dumpster cam to go meet Sign Guy, which is Sign Guy's another police stop. I don't know if you've seen that body cam, but the point is on dumpster
kids. Yep.
Right. And one of them stole a sign. But the point is, aptly noticed, was the Ford Fusion, the undercover car, no cars go by dumpster cam right after 3:16 a.m. And then we just, if things are on the up and up, where is this car? It should go right by the camera. So I got a wild hair up my ass, of course, and I'm like, well, let's test it with the delta hypothesis.
Your sayings are hilarious tonight. Got the hair in my soup, a wild hair up my ass.
Yeah. Yeah, my brain. Good Lord. Try living with it. So I decided, well, let me just check. Let me check and do the math. And the body cam goes off at 3:16 a.m. in 6 seconds. They would have idled for 1 minute, putting their seatbelt on, moving that rear view mirror, checking the visor, putting their little corrupt clipboard down before they start driving, right? 1 minute for that. And then they should be passing and then it takes 12 seconds to get to the dumpster cam and pass it. So I did, like, down to the second, I did the delta math, and then I added the delta to it. And I got the time, 4 a.m. It was 4:24 a.m. and 44 seconds. So I said, okay, well, maybe they go by at 4:24 a.m. and 44 seconds. And sure as shit, like, right on time, down to the second, there goes the Ford Fusion right by the dumpster cam off to see Sign Guy. I mean, he was just incredible. So I forgot what the original question was that I was supposed to be answering. Just the origins.
Yeah, it was the origins. And then I was saying, okay, so essentially what Sherlock is saying is that what the mainstream media and what all the courts are saying is that the time frame of when these murders happened might not be accurate. Okay. And then when you look at the time and the footage, and I'm sorry, when you look at the timestamps and the footage and you add in this time difference, which he's referring to as the delta, a lot of stuff starts to add up with cars that drive by, with noises and audio that we can pick up on Linda Lane. And you then we're about to get to the cut through.
Well,
behind the
also
house.
the undercover officers are suspect vehicle one, which was suspected for a really long time. Brett Payne even did his own hypothesis testing, found in the police reports that are now unsealed and released to the public. Brett Payne did his own hypothesis testing under the streetlight to see the color of the vehicle that Molly claims she saw, and
Yep.
whether or not suspect vehicle one was actually the undercover for Fusion the whole time. And I believe he did figure that out, but he wasn't honest about it.
Yeah.
And
I think you
but
called
yeah,
him a,
but
I think you called him a cuck.
I love the word cuck, man. I love the way it cuts. But
Yeah.
I'm a cuck fan. But I love you, Brett. Come on my channel. I'll do a live stream, Brett, if you come on and defend yourself, please. I think everybody would love to see that. But my point is that the delta of 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 26 seconds also aligned with the undercovers being suspect vehicle one themselves too, because they admit, also in the FBI reports, they admit to following the same path of travel and doing the same vulture passes as suspect vehicle one that night. But their big excuse was, well, we did that between 2 to 3 a.m., not after 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. We did that back in 2 to 3 a.m. Well, no, you didn't, because we have 1330 parking lot Linda Lane cam, and there's no vulture passes going by. So we know you didn't. And man, it's wild. It's just wild. And the Delta matched that too. So it just matches a lot more. It explains a lot more and clears a lot of things up that I guess you could say that the mainstream narrative creates a lot of confusion and a lot of incongruencies and contradictions. And the Delta hypothesis really cleans most of those things up.
Well, and what I would say is this. Okay. I understand how people are going to say, well, the Grub truck or whatever it was, it closes at 2:30. It closes at that. It can't be that time. Okay. Right. From what they've told
I disagree.
us. How does it all line up though? So that's the mind-blowing aspect of it. That's really what we should be talking about then is fine. It's easy and it's very simple to go look at someone's schedule when they're open, when they're closed. I understand that. That's fine. But I'm saying then how does it still line up? How does it line up if it was closed?
Well, it shouldn't.
Right. That's my point. It shouldn't.
Well, yeah,
it
yeah.
Shouldn't.
If they closed early and they're telling the truth about that, and they didn't want to catch that post-bar closing food rush, even though they talk about catching that exact food rush, they verbally talk about it on the stream. There's also someone said there's a clock on the wall behind in the Grub truck that shows 1:48 a.m. or something like that. I disagree. I don't think it does show 1:48 a.m. I didn't read it that way. It looks to me like it does say 3:48 a.m. So it's pretty blurry, and it's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would need better evidence.
Well, and
they've lied about crazier. They've lied about crazier shit. Think about it that way. They've lied about way crazier shit in this case than a food truck closing early. Okay. And so nothing would stop them from telling the lesser lie.
Well, that's exactly
closing
right.
the food truck early. And when you add to that the Delta, the missing 7 minutes and 26 seconds, the new Delta calculations, all three of them matching each other in a way that, like you just said, they shouldn't. When you add that all together, I mean, it paints a pretty compelling picture that we're definitely on to something. But how we interpret the Delta and what role it played that night and in the crimes, that's still up for debate, of course.
Well, and the reason why I believe it's so controversial is because for this to be true, there's multiple independent systems, okay, that have to be all off. So you have the body cams, private security cameras, phones, I guess, in a way, from when they say they went dark.
Well, no, they don't have to be off. So the reason we're able to, one of the reasons we found the delta is because they're not all off. They don't all have to be off.
But they all share the exact delta.
They're gonna fabricate the timestamps that they can, like on the CAD system, the body cam.
Yep.
But they're not going to be able to get to everybody's phone device settings. They're not going to be able to go into a Twitch live stream from the past and change that. They're not going to. You see what I'm saying? So, kind of like the latent prints of time itself that we can lift off this case and find that delta.
Yeah.
Time. In other words, time leaves evidence behind too.
Well,
and when you lie about a certain aspect of time or a certain length of time, you have to tell that lie over and over again by the same amount of time. And when I see them doing that, when I see them also lying about their shift ending early, exactly 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 26 seconds, I mean, come on. It means we're definitely on to something. But again, the role or how you interpret that is still up for debate.
One of the things that I think is very odd that lines up that, again, shouldn't. Okay. How many people have we heard say there's two different timelines? These people that Ethan and Xana were killed at a different time than Maddie and Kaylee. I've heard that for so long.
I mean, I just thought that from the beginning, but yeah.
Yeah. But dude, I mean, this theory, it lines up with that. It lines up
why,
with all the
why
noise.
would there be, think about it this way. In the Idaho State Police report, and I don't have the exact number on me, sorry, but Lana with Truth and Transparency did a whole episode about this, and I specifically remember her questioning when Bethany talked about using the Snapchat app, as well as location services on a different app to locate and find her friends, like the exact GPS coordinates of her friends the day before the crimes. It was just super interesting that with Ethan and Xana's Ethan and Xana were on that same grid for Bethany, right? Like she could have found where Ethan and Xana were too. And so for the beginning of the case, for there to be, over a year that went by and nobody knows where Ethan and Xana are, but why don't you just ask Bethany? Ethan and Xana are both attached to that Snap and TikTok and that whole same grid. And Bethany's telling the investigators, not only can I do that, not only can I find their GPS coordinates with timestamps, find my friends' location services, GPS and whatnot, but I did it. I did it for these two people the day before, on November 12th, the day before the crimes. And Lena aptly asked, like, well, then how could Ethan and Xana's whereabouts have been a big confusing mystery for over a year? And then all of a sudden they have they come out and say, well, they were home by 2 a.m. because now we have Snapchat location data. Well, I don't know. That just came out of nowhere. And it was very convenient for the 4 a.m. timeline. And I just, why would their whereabouts be a mystery if everything's on the up and up?
Of course. Or why do you have to be subpoenaed to come back? I've always thought that was odd.
Right. Yeah.
So
you wouldn't.
And why would you fight it? You're fighting it then.
And why would you fight it? Right.
The
exactly.
lone wolf killer
I mean, you can use that logic with Bill Thompson too. Like, dude, if the IgG sheath does match Brian, if that is his touch DNA, bring those electropherogram charts in here. I mean, Bill would be waving those around. He would be super proud of it. It would be his touchdown moment. It would be his best evidence. He would be screaming it from the top of Mount Everest. Yet, why did they fight it? They fought it. No. We just want to use it as a tip. We're not going to show you the results. We're not going to let you challenge, cross-examine the lab technician who found these results and the electropherogram charts that this lab tech says matches Brian's touch DNA. But now we're just going to switch it. Even though this is the arresting evidence of what got him arrested in the first place, now we're just going to say it's a tip. And then when it comes to alternative perpetrators, Judge Hippler is over here saying, excuse me, Ann Taylor, the alternate perpetrators aren't allowed because those were just tips, and tips are hearsay. That's what Judge Hippler said. He used the logic that tips are hearsay to get rid of the alternate perpetrators and keep them out of the courtroom,
right.
so that nobody could bring them into the case. Okay, well, then if the sheath is now just a tip, then that shit is hearsay. I mean, you have to be consistent in your logic. And this is what I'm talking about. The jurisprudence is incongruent and has a ton of self-contradictions where these cucks are contradicting themselves. And I'm telling you, I think that the time delta explains more accurate information and cleans up more confusion than their messy ass case.
Can I also just talk about a couple things real quick that I've seen flying by in the comments? Okay. One, I'm not ignoring any comments on purpose. I could see 4 comments on my screen per time before
Wait,
it
I
flies by.
can't see the comments. Can we like read and respond to some comments?
Yeah, I could put them up on screen. So I can
Yeah,
barely
can we,
see them
please?
too. Yep. So if you guys have questions for Sherlock, I'll start putting them up while I'm explaining this. One,
That would be
a
cool.
lot of people, yeah, of course, no problem, dude. The Grub truck, a lot of people say, it doesn't have any significance. Well, I don't know how you could say that at the same sentence or at the same time. This is the last time they're seen alive on camera. Okay, it's got like it could hold some significance. And if the last time they're seen on camera needs to be manipulated to fit a narrative, well, you would probably go after, well, the last time they were seen on camera. You know what I mean? It's not that hard to logically bridge build to think why they would have a motive to manipulate that. Secondly,
Correct.
I don't want to forget this. Okay. There is I believe it's on Netflix or it's on HBO. There is something that came out recently. My wife pointed it out. It's about the BTK killer. Dog, if you have not watched that, you go and you tell me how weird the stuff that you see in that documentary and how they line this up and what, dude, I'm telling you, you just have to watch it. And if you had your eyes closed, you would be like, holy shit, that 10-minute span, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. There's a 10-minute span. You're going to know if you had your eyes closed, you're like, they're describing the Idaho 4 case. It's wild.
Yeah. I absolutely. I think I know exactly what you're talking about. And there's also some IGG suspicions that I have with BTK as well, because IGG did come up in that case a little bit, and they also didn't show their work with that as well.
Right.
But in terms of cases sounding like each other, I found it really interesting that close to where my parents live on the East Coast, there's a small town where, well, a couple centuries ago,
Yeah.
a girl named Lizzie Borden was accused of killing her parents. And I just thought that was really interesting. The Borden murders, and I've been there. I've been to that crime scene before, but the trial was absolutely epic and huge. And all the major newspapers at the time were covering it like crazy. The media was outside that courthouse every day. Lizzie was saying she did not do it. And of course, I wouldn't do it. And there's all kinds of sketchy stuff with the case. Like there was a burglary that happened before the murders took place. She's saying that she's innocent. And it was a huge media spectacle, just like the Idaho 4 case. Pulitzer and Hearst are printing all the newspaper articles to make Lizzie seem crazy in a way that she really wasn't crazy when you study her life. A lot of these things were lies, and it reminded me of kind of how they smeared Brian and how he was tried in the media. So was Lizzie. But the thing that really blew my mind was almost all the details of the case are exactly the same as Idaho 4. Like, I'm not kidding, dude. Like, almost everything down to a T. Like, these were sharp force injuries. It was apparently a lone wolf surprise attack that makes no sense. They never found the murder weapon, just like Idaho 4. There was people sleeping in the house when it happened who claims they slept through it while it happened, just like Idaho 4. Many people in the gallery of the trial didn't believe those people, just like a lot of people today have issues with certain witnesses in Idaho 4. Like, and a lot more than that too. And there was debate about whether it was a knife. but then really people said it was a hatchet, right? And that the cuts don't really match a knife, and the wounds are more like gaping wounds. We heard that from Steve G, right? Like and there's a lot more than that. Like almost all these other details of the case were almost exactly the same. And I don't know, it just really rubbed me the wrong way. How can these things be so similar, so much time apart?
Well, so dude, this is where my brain goes, and ultimately what makes me really interested in talking about cases like this is I look at what's going on behind the scenes. Now, there's obviously true crime fans, and then there's people that like to look into what I just kind of said is who's lobbying to be able to use IGG, and why are these big time documentary companies and all these producers starting to put all these cases in our face where IGG
Totally.
is used? It's wild. It's not a coincidence time wise.
There's no way it's a coincidence time-wise. No way. I have a few friends who were there for the Golden State Killer case, and I've shared some thoughts about that case, and that was one of the first cases that IGG was used to actually catch someone purportedly. And I have my issues with, like, I have a really big chip on my shoulder about any evidence related to WhatsApp, Snapchat, or IGG, because I have found in a gaggle of other cases that there's fabrication with all three of those specific lines of evidence over and over and over again. And it's just seems like, I've found Snapchat fabricated Snapchat evidence in a ton of other cases. I found the same thing with WhatsApp, and I found the same thing with IGG, or at least I suspect it. And it's weird. The pattern recognition is on overdrive for those three lines of evidence. I never trust those three lines of evidence, or at least I'm always more careful about considering them when they pop up. But like with Ethan and Zaina, all of a sudden they had this Snapchat evidence. I'm like, of course it's Snapchat, right? Like, right. I just came off 8 years of the Delphi case. You know what I mean? And we've got the Bridge Guy video, which is crazy. I mean, the Bridge Guy video is Snapchat. That's what it is. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I don't know if you guys know the YouTube channel. I think it's Eye of Apophis. You can go watch his YouTube. I mean, I believe he did prove that the Bridge Guy video is heavily fabricated. And I don't know. I followed all the details of the Delphi trial, and any reasonable 12 citizens should have easily saw that Richard could not have done this. And it just bothered me so much when I first realized, a lot of people asked, how could this jury have got it wrong? Well, because they used the media the same way they did against Brian. They bombarded this small Delphi town with the narrative that Bridge Guy is the guy, which we don't really have evidence that Bridge Guy is the guy. Like, we don't have actual evidence that Bridge Guy is the guy who did anything. He's caught on this video, and we're trusting this video is not fabricated. But basically, they used a high-powered skyscraper corporate PR firm to bombard this small Delphi town with the message that Bridge Guy's the guy, and anybody from outside Delphi, any outsider saying that Bridge Guy's not the guy, is attacking our town and our heritage here in our town. And they made it about town identity.
Well, where else have you
heard that?
And
that's how they did it. That's how they did it. That's how 12 people from the town could have gotten it so wrong, when it's so obvious, for example, that Detective Kevin Murphy, was on to solving the case, and then he gets murdered. I mean, justice for Detective Murphy, in my opinion. But yeah, they tied it to town identity.
Well,
and that's how they get away with it.
They also tied it to town identity in, I forget if it was Dateline or was it Amazon. Somebody in the Hive will probably help me out with that. But it's like,
Prime. Yeah.
Yeah, was it Prime where they're like, we were just so glad to hear it. This wasn't Idaho on Idaho. Like, oh my God, that makes it so much better that somebody from outside your state came in and just murdered 4 people.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, nothing ever happens in Moscow, Idaho. Don't you know that?
They say it within minutes of the cops getting there. The other thing that I find
they do
so odd is like, guys, this seems weird. the entire pattern of the Idaho 4 in the media, it doesn't make sense because they're not brushing this under the rug. Do you know what I mean? Oh God, what did Aubrey say?
Can we do some comments? I want to see some questions, comments. Let's interact with the chat.
Oh, that didn't read on the screen. Whoops. I thought my wife just said, why did the Scarecrow get an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Birdie. Oh, that's funny.
All right, that was good. All right.
So yeah, I was putting some comments up on the screen. Now, one of the other things that I want to say too is, and just so for the sake of the conversation with you up here, I'm just going to turn the voice off. They'll still pop up, Hive, just so you know. But I'm just going to turn the voice off for it.
They're just too tiny for me. I'd love to interact with the chat. I just can't see them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. We were talking about the, we were going to go back. I'm going to put some comments up on, or some comments and questions up on screen. Now, Tippy Hadron Collider says Sherlock is absolutely correct about Delphi. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, dude, you're one of those people that you have the ability to explain things that's still in what I call like, you're able to socialize it. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a skill to like being really smart, but then also being smart enough to know how to socialize it as well. Because if you can't do that,
some
you're
ideas are more complex, multiple layers. Some are not. Some are easy concepts to understand, simple, one layer, and some people can't even get those. But yeah, I mean, I have a knack for being able to articulate things in a way that I think more people can understand, which is one of the reasons I started making Idaho 4 videos. Just because
Right.
we were getting gaslit so much, and I figured it might be nice to have a channel where you can kind of escape the gaslighting at least a little bit. Make people
Yeah.
not feel so gaslit and like they're going crazy, because you're not going crazy. We're not.
Right. And Grammy T says, I'm holding you hostage. Sherlock, am I holding you hostage?
No, not at all.
Right. Right. If you do have to hop off, no worries. I want you to answer some questions though.
Yeah.
So Psycho769 says, why are you guys not using your brains to focus on why BK took a plea? I think this is a valid question.
Totally valid
And
question.
one of the things that I'll say is that I believe that there was some sort of, like, I truly believe that Brian Koberger became some sort of public facing conviction, and there may have been some sort of backdoor deal. It doesn't make any sense for any attorney that's worth their license. It doesn't make any sense that there's not a line of attorneys out the door of that prison wanting to make their career by proving
That's a good
Brian
point.
Koberger is innocent. And I don't understand why. And a lot of people say, no, he was threatened. His family was threatened, all this stuff. Okay. Guys.
Well, it's hard to confirm that.
It is hard to confirm that. And it's also, who's to say that, you know, who's threatening him then? Isn't that a little bit concerning? Well, who's threatening him?
Right. Yeah. If he's actually guilty, then he wouldn't be getting threat. I mean, like if, I don't know, for example, if my hypothesis or idea about a defense witness of his being threatened and then his family being threatened, you know, if he was guilty, then that wouldn't be happening. Like, you don't need to threaten the defense witnesses of guilty people, but you would need to do that to innocent people.
Correct.
If they've got a great defense witness, right?
Exactly. And for people saying that, you know, so I think there's people that are on the fence, which is good. I'm not here to force anybody onto one side of the fence or the other. They're like, I thought he was fully guilty. Now I just think he has some sort of role in it. Or I just saw a comment fly by that said, I used to think he was 100% innocent. Now I think he has a role in it. My question is, if Brian Koberger played a role in this, Sherlock, what role do you think he played? Because I have my answer, but I want to hear what you say.
My answer's none, and here's why I believe Brian Koberger was not even there. And I'll just start by saying that if there's any case that deserved a trial, it was this one. So it's really heartbreaking that he had to plea out. But for me, it's not too hard to understand why he took the plea deal. I probably would have too, even though I was innocent. Innocent people take plea deals all the time. It happens way more frequently in our system than people even understand. I don't want to get too much into those issues. I guess I'll just say that we had 914 days of court hearings, and Brian had to sit there for all 914 of those days, and he never got one court day in over 900 court days. He didn't get one court day to confront, challenge, or cross-examine the evidence called against him. Ann Taylor brought great exculpatory, like irrefutably exculpatory evidence to bear, which was rejected and called a conspiracy theory. And we couldn't even bring that into the courtroom. And if you're in a situation like that, where you know you're innocent, you have the evidence, they reject it anyway, even though that makes no sense. And you never got one day of court in over 900 court days to challenge, confront, or cross-examine the evidence called against you. Like, think about it. They called the Sheath IgG touch DNA a tip. So Brian isn't really even allowed to, that's the arresting evidence. How do you defend yourself when you're not allowed to bring up the arresting evidence? It's not allowed to be brought into the court unless you say it's, all you can say about it is a tip all of a sudden, when it's the arresting evidence. How do you defend yourself when you can't even talk about the evidence that they claim got you arrested? So when you add that to the death penalty, and the state of Idaho has been positioning and really puffing them up like a pufferfish, puffing themselves up in the media in a really threatening way, saying, well, we just passed new legislation about updating our new firing range for criminal executions. That's really intimidating. By the way, that media story in Idaho ran loud and clear during the period of time where Brian was having to decide to take this plea deal. I don't think that was a coincidence either. Did you know that? Did you know that they actually ran, like, it was in every newspaper, it was on every single news station, it was on, like, not just in Idaho, but everywhere. It was huge news that the state legislator got together and specifically passed new legislation to make it much easier and a less bureaucratic process to execute convicted criminals with the firing squad. And they did it the same week that Brian had to decide whether to take this plea deal or not. We didn't have, those stories did not run like that, not that hard, before or after that week. And I don't think that's a coincidence. So when he can't defend himself, when exculpatory evidence doesn't matter in a courtroom, when you don't even get one day out of 900 court days to confront and cross-examine the evidence called against you, and they're going to shoot you in the face, I mean, I would take the plea deal too. I don't get why people are so confused about it. It's just really heartbreaking that this trial, I mean, this case really deserved a trial.
It absolutely.
So if you want to fix that, get rid of the death penalty. If you want to fix that, get rid of the death penalty, because this would never, no plea deal would ever have happened without the death penalty here. 1,000%.
I have a theory on why the death penalty's not been banned, and I think it's to force people into plea deals. I do. I mean, you look at the numbers: 90 to 95% of cases don't even go to trial. They settle in a plea deal because you're overcharged. You're scared into the plea deal. They say you're going to get all
there's a backup.
This.
There's judicial backlog, and people are sitting there on charges they haven't really even been proven guilty on for years and years and years.
Correct.
And it's easier to just plea out.
It is easier, and it's almost like the system
they don't want the backlog. They want to reduce the backlog as much as possible, so they offer you a better deal to plea out, even if you're innocent.
Absolutely.
So that's the other. So yeah, there's just so many reasons why an innocent person would take a plea deal. It just sucks in this case because, man, Brian, you could have nailed these suckers. You really could have, man. I really think you would have won. What do you think?
I think he absolutely, to think that there wouldn't be, you know what? So two things. One, I want to address Pierre saying, are our reactions to the fucked cases being studied how to better manage the question, or it's just a thought? Dude, I'm telling you, one of the things that I've talked about that I seldomly hear talked about, unless I talk about it myself, is the funding that the NIJ, which is the research arm of the DOJ, was giving Washington State, which, by the way, Washington State has a very, very prominent criminology department. I don't think that it's a stretch to think that Brian Koberger went out there just randomly. I think that he probably knew about this funding. It all had to do with predictive criminal behavior outside of a classroom setting in emerging adults. Okay, it was $2 million. And you start thinking about what Pierre just said there, and I'm like, okay, now we're ripping the Band-Aid off a cover up, and we're going full ass psyop, right?
Wait, Birdie, who just said that? Someone just
Here.
mentioned Cy Ray and national security
Oh, I didn't see it.
in chat.
Let me go up. Where did it go?
That's super interesting. I just want to see.
Whoever typed it, just type it again. I'll just watch at the bottom here. Sorry. So I'll wait for that to come in. What did it say?
It said that Cy Ray is teaching a course at Homeland Security, something to do about how not to take a plea deal or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, Beck just said that too.
Pamela just said that the prosecution had to admit that they had no evidence, so on and so forth. They didn't want him found out. Yeah, absolutely. I think Pam's right. Like, the prosecution had every motive to want this plea deal as well, which is why they offered it. And that's the other thing, Bertie. Why would they offer a plea deal? If their evidence is so strong, if their case is so strong, why would you even offer a plea deal?
Well,
Pam makes a good point.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say to that is, people say, oh my God, their case, it was so strong. Well, was it? I mean, seriously, was it that strong? Because when you play this clip, and I know people have seen this, okay, but I'll just play this. Hopefully, 1 second. I started at 16. What did I have on there? Oh, fuck. What was that timestamp? 16:30.
Tony says, just don't ask Cy Ray about Koberger.
Yeah.
Wild West. I mean, I personally don't think Brian is a part of the op and that he's a Fed. I personally don't believe that. But to Birdie's credit, like, a Fed can still be patsied. Like, there's different factions inside the Feds. There's rogue sects of Feds that try to take other groups of Feds down. And sometimes a good Fed can, or someone helping the good Feds can be turned into the patsy, right? Like, even if he's a Fed, he can be a patsy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you got to remember, too, there was a guy inside the mob, Greg Scarpa. The Feds helped him frame people to get away with murders just to stay undercover inside the mob. Okay, look it up. Greg Scarpa Jr. killed people for the FBI. The FBI framed other people. There were people that went to jail because the FBI was framing them to keep their guy undercover inside the mob. Okay? That's like, not to go completely all over the map here, but that's like when people talk about Epstein. Are we ready to accept as an American public that our tax dollars went to go fund our own government to buy into a CIA and Mossad black money budget to get Jeffrey Epstein propped up to go and get blackmail on the world's most powerful leaders through nefarious means? You know what I mean, Sherlock?
Yeah.
Are people ready to accept that our own government does this shit? They took down 2 towers. I mean, for God's sakes, I could go on and on about why can't people recognize this?
They have, people always ask me questions like, why would they do that? You know, what would they gain? Everything.
Everything.
Everything to gain. Centralizing power and authoritarianism and a surveillance state gives them everything. Dude, you get there's 17 new profit streams. You get to manufacture wars. There's military contracting profits. There's stock profits. I mean, everything. I mean, you can give yourself whatever life you want. And you can get control over a whole population of people.
Well, you really can. And
stand to gain everything from doing it.
He can't answer this, can he? Mr. Bill Thompson, can he? Bad Santa.
No. Geriatric Santa, he cannot answer to these questions. No.
Yes, exactly. And real quick, if you're in here and you have not pressed the like or subscribe, please do. I know people join live and they haven't heard the plug. Sherlock, I want you to stay up here because I have a super interesting tinfoil hat conspiracy of the day. I don't know if you've ever heard of this one or if people in the Hive have. Has anybody heard about the Paul McCartney conspiracy?
I've heard of it. Of course. I mean, that's an older one, right?
Yeah, it's an older one. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Usually I like to finish the streams with something that's just, a classic tinfoil hat, but have you heard the backward clue in I'm So Tired, and when it's reversed, John allegedly says Paul is dead, miss him, miss him?
Yeah, I think it's I buried Paul.
Or I buried Paul. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What have you heard about this conspiracy? Do you believe that he was replaced?
So I didn't at first. Because that seems kind of outlandish to me, to be honest with you. But then as time went on, I got to say, there's a lot of stories about different celebrities. I guess you could say being replaced. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but man, I tell you, if you look at some of these celebs, they look so like some of them just go through a period of time where all of a sudden they look totally different. And they're just a totally different person. They look totally different. They behave totally different. And it's in the eyes too. It's kind of hard to explain. It's in the eyes. There's a form of PTSD trauma that's listed on the DSM-5 like mental illness diagnosis symptom chart that include like shock eyes. People who've endured severe trauma of some sort, their eyes are just chronically very big, and you can see a type of shock or fear in their eyes at all times. You can see this in a lot of victims who go through serious trauma. And there's a number of celebrities that I've noticed that, seem normal for many, many years. And all of a sudden, not only do they look different, not only are they getting this crazy plastic surgery that makes them look so different, but they're totally acting different. And they've got their eyes just tell a totally different story. So once I started noticing all that, I started rethinking and kind of like, did they bury Paul? Did they do it?
But it just reminded me of that Tim Dillon rant where he's like, and we're on Kris Jenner's third head.
That's right. Yeah.
But
yeah,
so
that's the perfect sublet. Yeah.
It really is. And for people that don't know, Paul McCartney supposedly died in a car crash on November 9th, 1966. And to avoid mass hysteria and protect the Beatles' money machine, the establishment swapped him with a lookalike, often named William or Billy Shears Campbell. The band sprinkled clues across sleeves, lyrics, and backmasked audio. The rumor simmered for years, but then it exploded on U.S. campuses in the September-October timeframe in 1969, which turned into a full-blown media event before Paul's I'm Alive Life magazine interview in 1969. In 1966, there was the alleged crash, but there was no proof. The Beatles just stopped touring, and it kind of shifted their image. And then in 1969 is when that U.S. college rumor hit the radios and the newspapers. October 12th on WKNR in Detroit was the one who blew it up and broke it. And in November, Life magazine prints a fresh interview / photos of Paul at his farm. Public interest peaked then, but then it kind of faded off. Yeah.
Okay, well, so that reminds me, you're aware of Laurel Canyon, right, Bertie?
Yeah.
You know what Laurel Canyon is?
Yep.
All right, Laurel Canyon was basically a CIA operation where they worked with celebrities, mostly major musicians, to put particular popular culture and music into society for particular reasons that the deep state had. Today, it's owned by Jared Leto, I think, bought Laurel Canyon. And dude, he's got crazy eyes now too, and he looks totally different. And anyway, I won't get too deep down that rabbit hole, but Paul McCartney was around and was a major international music celebrity at a time where like MI6 and CIA were doing Laurel Canyon. So that's another thing that makes me think about, I Buried Paul might have some credibility to it. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's really, really interesting. When I hear music, it makes me dance. Just said in chat that Garth Brooks is a serial killer. I believe that one, he says. I do too. A lot of his tour dates match up with some pretty suspicious cases. That are a lot of them that are not closed, like a crap ton.
A ton, but I gotta tell you, Sherlock, seldomly does the Hive ever go and be like, no, that one's a stretch. People love Garth Brooks, and it was hard. It's very generational, it seems. And I'm not knocking the people who don't believe it or do believe it. And I'm not saying that either to just stand in the middle ground. I personally believe that anybody that's famous, that it can line up with those tour dates. And then you start looking at, I've got friends in low places, and you start looking at his property,
Right.
it's a little bit odd, but yeah, it's like kicking a hornet's nest. There was a lot of people that didn't agree with it. I just think it's odd. I think it's very odd.
Marianne questions the same about Sean Penn, which that's interesting. I've never heard that before. I'll probably go down that rabbit hole tonight.
Sean Penn. I got to go.
Thanks, Marianne.
Well, Sherlock, brother, thanks for popping up on a short notice. I'm going to hang out here for another 10 minutes. I've answered some questions. You rock, Sherlock. I'll have to.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good night. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Love you.
Sherlock's the man. Sherlock is that guy. That was an awesome stream. I'm going to hang out here. Let's, when I have a guest on, it's hard for me to listen to the guest, control the screen. I was showing my mods earlier how many windows I have to have open for, the mic controls, the camera control, all this stuff. I don't just do it just on StreamYard because I want to have overlays. I want to have, other tools and stuff open. But, I didn't plan to have Sherlock on today. I'm telling you, you guys got to go watch that video. But if there's any questions that you have for him, I don't know if he's going to be hanging out in the chat. Maybe I could put some up on the screen. But in general, yesterday, I wanted to really quick and briefly touch on this. And I had come up with 3 questions that I think can prove beyond reasonable doubt. Okay. If you haven't watched the quick cut from my live last night, it's like a 12-minute video. That was pretty much all that I could get out of it with how shitty YouTube was being. There was some sort of iPad app update. But the questions that I have were, can you put Brian Koberger in the house? Is the DNA exclusive? And can you prove Brian Koberger had intent to murder anybody? And I started with, can you put Brian Koberger in the house? Well, the prosecutor himself says, now I will acknowledge that we cannot directly put Brian Koberger, Jesus, I almost said Kopaka. Did I just say Brian He said, I will acknowledge that we cannot put Brian Koberger directly in contact with anybody in 1122 or the house itself. And it's a densely populated area. Okay. So why did we start with that question? Well, if you can't put him in the house and then the item with the DNA is in the house, how did it get there? And then you have to start asking, well, is the DNA exclusive? Well, did they ever test it against male B, which is the blood that was found in the handrail? No. And then you start going into the police reports. You start hearing about these cigarette butts, which the YSTR was grabbed from. There's no chain of custody on the DNA either. Okay. So DNA is only the linchpin when you can show chain of custody and that it wasn't contaminated and that it is exclusive. And then thirdly, did Brian Koberger have the intent to murder these girls? Well, you then can listen to the post-sentencing press conference. We don't even have to try to figure this out anymore. They'll tell you. They said, with all resources available, we did not find one link to the victims, to the house, to any of the victims' family members, not one. So we don't know the motive. Then he had plead. So it doesn't make any sense, guys. Something bigger is going on. You start looking at all the drug busts and the takedowns along that Pacific Northwest Highway. And I just think that those 3 questions can prove reasonable doubt. It's really not anything in my head that I have to debate anymore personally for myself. I'm not sure where everybody in here, is sitting. But I think that it's like, how do you murder 4 people if you can't even put them in the house? And do you see a license plate on the car? Do you see Brian in the car? Do you see Brian walk into the house? Has Brian ever been to the house? Does Brian know any of them? Does Brian know any of their friends? Because I guarantee you that if he was or if he did, that shit would have been all over Dateline and Amazon 100 times over. His car that they show in evidence has a bug shield on it. No other time does it have a bug shield. Let me ask you this. How many of you just decide randomly to go get a bug shield? Now you could say, well, that's the way Brian Koberger is. That's just what they say. He's OCD. He's this. Well, you can't say that and then say him having a clean car is guilt. Is the bug shield guilt then? And I'm sorry, I just don't think that criminology being perverted into some, pre-murder motive and learning how to get away with it, wanting to see how it feels, turns into, I am going to randomly choose a house that's a known party house that I have no idea how many people are inside. I have no idea if they're awake. And I'm going to go in with one of the most intimate weapons. And I'm going to start on the top floor and give everybody else below me a chance to escape and run out. And I have no idea. Everyone says he's too smart. He made every stupid ass mistake you could make. Oh, but he turned his phone off. Okay. Here's how you beat that in court. You bring in a cell phone expert. And I've shown this comment before that somebody left. Bring in a cell phone expert. You have them say, okay, can you tell me some reasons why somebody might turn their phone off? And they're going to list out reasons. Okay, it's going to be save battery. They don't have service. They want to save data. Maybe they're hiking. They don't want it. They're tired. People turn their phone off all the time. And then you would respond and you would say, so you're telling me that there's reasons that turn your phone off besides committing a quadruple murder? Yes. Okay. There goes the cell phone shit. You could do it with almost every part of the narrative. And don't forget, reasonable doubt is not a loophole in our court system, everybody. Reasonable doubt is a guardrail. That's why it has to be beyond reasonable doubt. It's what you think you know versus what you know. And I think that a lot of people get that twisted. So, yeah, for God's sakes, yeah. Avivliniv, sorry if I said that username wrong. They make BK a killer for every little thing. He took a selfie. He must have done it. He turned his phone off. He must have done it. It's so dumb. And Philly Special, I missed your super chat up on the top of the screen, but you said everyone should read Chaos by Tim O'Neill. I've not read that. I should check that out. Lisa Hawkins says, Kopaka is dead. I saw the video. Okay, what video? LA Mike says, Bill said he might have chosen that house out of convenience. Yeah, choose a 4-story maze. That's convenient with paper-thin walls. Sherlock said, cell phone experts are experts right up until the defense team. Then suddenly they're a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, or maybe you just don't want to talk to anybody. Tony says, no proof was ever shown Koberger's transfer DNA was on that sheath snap. Do we even know if the sheath exists? That's not meant to be a sarcastic question. We have not seen that. We've had how many thousands of pictures? Not a single picture of a sheath or a murder weapon or the bodies. Crown says, matter of fact, I'm turning mine off right now. Brian Todd says Garth Brooks killed the Idaho 4, allegedly. Lynette asks, Bertie, who do I think did it? Oh, Lynette. See, the way that my brain works is I think there could be a multitude of things that happened. What I am certain of is that if all 4 are dead, I believe that this was a complete coordinated hit with the likes of 4 people. I don't even think that 2 people would go in and try to kill these 4, knowing that there's potentially how many people inside that house, everybody around. I think this is coordinated. I think there's 4 if it was a group hit. And yes, Luna, thank you. So Luna said, Bertie, can you mention the pumpkin carving contest before you end, please? If you have not joined our Discord, let me just pull this up real quick. We have Halloween contest going on. And by the way, I'll make a post about it tomorrow. But if you guys want to be on the roundtable for Halloween, which is going to be on Sunday, I do a Hive Mind roundtable once a month. It's the last Sunday of every month. So that's going to be in 10 days. That'll be October 26th at 7 p.m. Super easy to join. You guys saw how easy it was for Sherlock to pop up here. Send me an email. This is the only thing I'm taking emails for. I'm not doing Hive Mind finds on the email anymore, only the Discord. BirdieBombshell00@gmail.com. One of my mods can, you guys please type that into the chat. That's if you want to be on the roundtable. There is a requirement. You have to wear a costume of your favorite high profile headline. Doesn't have to be a crime. It could just be somebody who's been in the news for something crazy. And for everybody that wants to join the Discord, you're going to go to my channel, click more links, and it's the first link right here. So this button, click Discord. And then also on birdiebombshell.com, we do have some MSNPC t-shirts, tinfoil hats, Hive Mind hoodies, Hive Mind hats. We're getting going on some really exciting merch. Dana's been helping me out a lot, UFO Dog. And we are doing a pumpkin carving contest. So Dawn and UFO Dog, Luna, and a handful of others in the Discord are running weekly contests. Those weekly contest winners will get an award mailed to them. So we're going to announce them all on the 26th as well. We got awesome people here in the Hive that they've made the Discord awesome. They've made this chat awesome. The merch is going to be great. We're revamping the website. Dana's working her tail off on that. So like I said, I'm motivated to keep this stream and make the stream as good as possible. Mama Gator says 2 a.m. was a dark hour. Absolutely. Yeah, you got to submit your pumpkin. That's exactly right. Yes, Discord is safe. So we have verification and security. So you won't have any issues. We have a really, really good handle on our Discord. Lisa says, our couple's costume this year, a brick and a bricklayer. Happy Halloween. That is incredible, Linda. Thank you so much. And I had the voice turned off while Sherlock's on here because I didn't want it to be distracting, but I like that. That's funny. What's the best couples costumes that you guys have seen? Like, what's like some funny ones? It's Andrea. Shits you not said, show us your pumpkins. Detective Mowry said, Birdie, I'm finishing up writing my story of what happened. If I send it to you, then you got to read it with a bush latte. I'll do that. Which, as a reminder, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I do what I call the Sting, which is more of like a current events and headlines stream. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. The chat's a little bit smaller typically in the morning. And then I do a late night dig, which is always a live dig on Friday evenings, and that's at 9 p.m. And like Detective Mowry said, you know, I might indulge in some bush lattes. Might end up with a couple shotguns of seltzers or whatever the hell Mrs. Birdie had out there. But and welcome to the Hive. Whoever just subscribed, was it Van Halen? Liz, thank you so much. Holly Berry and I need a shout out showing you our peaches, Birdie. Oh, yep, that would get a shout out, and then I would get shot in the head by Mrs. Birdie. That's awesome. You guys are rocking. Absolutely. If you have not pressed that like button, let's try to get this puppy over 1,000. If we get over 1,000 likes right now, I will shotgun, three? I'll shotgun three beers at some point on the stream tomorrow. Does that sound like a deal? And that has to be while I'm still live. So we have 12 minutes. And hold me to that. That's awesome. Who said give us a shout out for that? We have not talked too many baby names. I kind of have a couple. Do you guys have any good ones? I'm not going to dye my hair pink, Amanda B. Yes, it has. Yeah. Liz winks at Miss Birdie. Nah, she laughs at that stuff. She likes it. She thinks it's fun. Oh yeah. You know how to get me. Birdie Jr. Yeah, that'd be funny. We're gonna find out. So we didn't know if we wanted to find out, but we're going to. So we have a couple weeks until the next appointment. Who said name it Tweety? Hot Molly said, what ethnicity is it? Wow. That's funny. Starling. Okay. Baby birdie. Miss Maggie says probably not Dylan. Baby Birdino. Terry Dactyl. I love that. Avian. Avian's kind of cool. I didn't know if that ethnicity thing was a joke or not, but yeah, me and Miss Birdie are both Caucasian. 842. We're almost at 1,000, guys. Detective Mowry, this is my future unborn child. I'm not going to name it Queefy LaRue. No, I know. I figured. Thank you, Molly Bledsoe. I appreciate that. Yes, we are going to. Name it Falcon, Robin said. Oh, yeah. I'm German and Polish, Italian. Mrs. Birdie is, and Danish. Mrs. Birdie is pretty much the same thing. Wait, what is Mrs. Oh, yeah. No, I'm in it. That's what it's for, babe. It's for tomorrow night. It's for 3 beers shotgunned if we get to 1,000 likes. We're close. At this point, I mean, I'm I'm just gonna do it anyways. At this point, let's be honest. London. Wait, what's the What are the stepbrothers' names? Where he's like, you can call me El Diablo. Matty S. Welcome to the Hive. Yeah, Mrs. Birdie said it's only Thursday. You can imagine the thought that's going through my head with that question too. Yeah, Mrs. Birdie checked the stream or checked the fridge after a couple streams ago. She's like, "Did you drink all of those?" As I'm like carrying the little garbage bag underneath my desk that I have, just clanking with empty cans. What about the name Brian? Your grandma's name is Birdie with a T. Atlas, Riker, Easton, those are cool. Drone Daddy 69. All hail the Hive, but also Venmo me. MK Ultra Light. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, if you guys like the Friday night live digs, those are some of my favorite because I have no idea the direction they're going to go in. Yeah, 1-1. You did do something. You said I did nothing. You started it. Godzilla. What did Crown say? I missed it. Oh, you're going back to the McCartney. So miss him. Turn me on. Dead Man was from Revolution 9. I buried Paul was at the end of Strawberry Fields. I could name about 20 other clues, but I really think it was a marketing play. Dude, it is kind of a smart marketing play if you think about it. Good to see you, ATL Drew. Yeah, 1-1. You sit on a throne of lies. You smell like beef and cheese. Oh, sorry, guys. German, Polish, Danish, Irish. My dad's name was Kenneth. Yeah, I need a warm up. Is that what you're saying? Oh, Christ. You guys are funny. Yeah. Oh, so I'm mixed white. Yeah. Something like that, right? Is that really all we need is 25 more? I want to see if this does this play through the speakers. I got to start using those more. I did notice that. I was wondering if you were doing that. Sorry, you're getting itchy from hearing that. Oh man. I think it was great that Sherlock came up to explain that. Like I was saying for the roundtable too, that is on the 26th, Sunday, 7 p.m. It's about 90 minutes. All I ask is that you have a quiet place to record, undivided attention. No one's going to be walking behind you or interrupt you. You don't have to be on camera. I would encourage you to be. And it's super easy to join. I just send you a link like any Google Meet link. The other thing that I was going to say is we had a member in the Hive whose mother is wrongfully convicted and has done 25 years in prison. We have a thread in our Discord about that. I had sent Marissa, I don't know if you're in here. I haven't seen, I sent you an email about trying to, and I'm checking right now. I could have missed it. So if you see this, Marissa, check your email. So Lynette says, since I'm new, what does hive mind mean? Well, not to give an entire history lesson, but I started over on TikTok, and I didn't come over to YouTube until May. So the Hive is still new. It's brand new to YouTube, but I would host essentially the same thing. It's had quite a lot of improvements, but one of the things that always has been a constant in my streams is that I would call the chat the hive mind. So that's, you know, the chat is a part of this stream. I try to be as interactive as I can be with the comments and with the theories. And if you've been in some of these live digs, I mean, we can get a ton of comments up on screen, and it's really cool how we all kind of come together as a collective mind. One of the recent ones that we did is we forgot everything that we knew about the case, and we tried to think about who could the unconscious person have been in the 911 call. And we went back and looked at early 4chan and Reddit posts, and there was rumors that the unconscious person that the 911 call was about was actually about one of the perpetrators, and it blew our minds. We're like, holy shit, that makes all their body language look way more accurate. They don't look like their roommates are dead. They look like there's somebody they don't know that's unconscious inside their house. There's a minute and a half, and there's 108 likes left, Hive. I'm thirsty. Come on. Come on. Type of 1 if you guys are going to tune in too tomorrow at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. or both. The morning streams, don't sleep on those. Those morning Friday streams are pretty fun. We got 45 seconds. They're chill until I ask you a question, and people are like, it's too easy to think, or it's too hard to think, or it's too early to think. Wimmer, is that you? I got to get you a text back. I saw that. I want to hear about that. Yeah, I didn't expect to do that. And time. So close. Well, Hive, nonetheless, I had an absolute blast with you as always. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., I'll be back here, right here in the Hive for the Sting. 9 p.m., we're going to do a live dig, and I will see you then. I hope everybody has a great night's sleep and goes into the weekend feeling refreshed. I will see you tomorrow evening. Cheers.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.